gentlemen, Fourth and Trollers, welcome back to Fourth and Troll Fantasy, the most entertaining fantasy football podcast on the planet. My name is Noah Selby.
And I'm Wes Selby.
And we have got the greatest episode of Fourth and Troll Fantasy ever for you guys today. It is our post-NFL draft breakdown. Listen, if you are a fan of just breaking down these rookie landing spots, analyzing what we're going to do with them, who's going to be a stud in fantasy, who is going to absolutely waste their career away, thanks to a certain team out west who just decides that's what they want to do with their players.
You can't even wait.
You know what? This is the show for you guys because it is going to be all NFL draft all the time on this episode. It's going to be a great time. Wes, post-draft, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Let's just, I think a brief summary. I think it's just for us, we're Dolphins fans. I think we did okay. We did all right. I think we could have, I don't really know what I was expecting. I think I was expecting some amazing first round, let's go get the greatest player of all time. Of course, we don't have that first round player, but I think we did all right. How do you feel? Do you think Devon A-Chain?
Devon A-Chain out of Texas A&M.
Devon?
Yeah, I'm excited about A-Chain or A-Train, depending on where we're going to go with this nickname of his. I'm excited about it. I think it was a good draft after some thought, some puzzling choices at first. Wasn't expecting maybe a corner pick in that second round, but we went for it and got him at 51. So I'm excited though. It was a fun draft for Dolphins fans, for a lot of the NFL. I mean, I feel like nobody really lost the draft. I don't feel like there were any major losers besides Will Levis, and that's what we expected. So whatever. And I'll tell you what, the Eagles certainly did not lose the draft. Oh my goodness, we'll talk about that.
Outside of fantasy, they are.
Yeah, that is just absurd. But like I said, this is going to be the greatest episode of Fourth and Troll Fantasy ever. We're going to do a lot of breaking down on the draft. Who's going to be a star in fantasy? Who's going to be a bust? First things first, though, we got a request from a listener to widowy again hit DeGwitty on the podcast. So. Just hit the Gwitty.
I can't do it. I don't know how to.
I don't know how to do it either.
Yeah. Is that right?
I think we nailed it.
Dude,
I think that was good.
My freaking.
It's gonna be the most
viewed
and listened to podcast we've ever put out because of that. So.
It was. Pretty successful.
It's gonna be a good one. Anyways, we got a little bit of news. Wes, let's jump into. Just some brief news before we break down the draft here, because obviously some moves were made, and that meant more moves had to be made. So what's this first kind of thing we need to talk about here?
First thing, most important thing, Noah. I think since our first days of Fourth and Troll, you've been saying Dan Campbell hates DeAndre Swift. It finally snapped. It finally happened.
I never understood it, but it's shown true.
Listen, this is proof that we are a very accurate podcast when it comes to fantasy, and DeAndre Swift was traded the day after they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, so they clearly were done with you. And then
drafted Jahmyr Gibbs 12th.
12 overall.
12 overall! Yeah. Like, what But DeAndre Swift is an Eagle.
He's a Philadelphia Eagle, and so thank God they have more offensive weapons on that team. They really needed to help that. So, they're going to never lose a game again.
My initial reaction was, wow, they have one of the most dangerous and most injury-prone 1-2 punches in a backfield in DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny. When both those guys are healthy, they're incredible, but they're phenomenal. Very rarely healthy. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Either way, I think immediate fantasy impact here, I don't think it's as good of a situation as people think it might be for DeAndre Swift going to the Eagles. He, in his NFL career, has never had a season with less than 45 catches, and he's never finished outside RB20 in fantasy. I don't know that the Eagles' offensive scheme really is going to provide 45 catches to him, and they don't tend to check down the ball to the running back. So he's obviously in a better situation because he was going to do nothing for the Lions, but Now
Yeah.
I don't think it's as good of a situation as previously when he was on the Lions, when he had value. It's going to be, I think he doesn't move much, but, he's clearly going to be, a top running back in one of the best offenses with one of the best offensive lines in the league. So, I mean, hey,
Yeah.
great option for him. And he'll be an undrafted free agent, or not an undrafted free agent. He'll be a free agent this offseason after he plays this year. So we'll see if he resigns with them. But man, we were just
Like
like
crazy.
baffled when that pick came in of Jahmyr Gibbs. We were like, why? What are we doing? Like it's just crazy. But
I'm more optimistic. I've told you I'm a Swiftie in this situation.
Big Swiftie.
I'm a DeAndre Swiftie, and I'm excited for what happens in Philadelphia, especially because I think that offense is going to be terrifying. So anyway, a couple of salary updates for anyone that's interested in what this looks like. The Vikings picked up the Justin Jefferson's 5th-year option.
What?
The Bengals picked up Joe Burrow's 5th-year option.
What?
The Broncos picked up Jerry Jeudy's 5th-year option.
I don't know if I can be that enthusiastic on that one, but
yeah. The Commanders did not pick up Chase Young's 5th-year option, for anyone that likes to read into the defensive side in fantasy football.
My only guess on that is that it has to be that they're going to work out. I don't remember the last time he played a full season. I think he just gets injured a lot. I don't know if they're maybe. I think they might just be a little worried he's not going to stay healthy. So maybe they'll let him walk, but who knows? Well,
last thing, don't forget, happened the day of the draft. Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens agreed to terms on a 5-year, $185 million guaranteed contract, total of $260 million, the most in NFL history. He did it without an agent, him and his mama. They made it rich. Happy for that, for them, him, his family, the team. It all worked out. We'll see if OBJ actually does anything for that team, but that is it. Now let's jump into the 2023 draft results, Noah.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, we're going to go over the round 1 talent here, kind of what fantasy impact there's going to be, and then we're going to jump around a little bit in rounds 2 and 3 and maybe a little bit beyond if there's anybody we want to talk about, but any deep cuts or sleeper picks or anything like that. But let's jump in here and right off the bat, 1-2, no matter how much we talked about and how much it was talked about with the Texans, we're going to go with the defensive player at pick number 2. Well, they didn't. They went with the defensive player at pick number 3 because they traded back to 3 to be able to get that pick after they took C.J. Stroud at 2 and Bryce Young went at 1 to the Panthers. As far as both these guys, Wes, we've talked about it. Rookie QBs don't tend to do very well in fantasy unless your name is Justin Jefferson. It doesn't. Or Justin Herbert. Sorry,
Herbert. Herbert.
Just think about the Gwitty,
God, it's stuck in us, dude.
Justin Jefferson. It's part of me now. I'm just gonna can't shake it. But rookie quarterbacks just don't tend to be huge fantasy impact players. So Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud, I think they're much better. Obviously, NFL picks for their team for the future. Obviously, these teams are hoping they found their franchise guy. I don't think they'll be much of a factor in fantasy. However, the third quarterback taken off the board went to where I hoped and predicted he would go and where my dream landing spot for him was Anthony Richardson to the Indianapolis Colts with Shane Steichen there, ready to mold and form his own Jalen Hurts on this Indianapolis Colts offense with Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce, your boy Josh Downs. There we go. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor there. It's going to be a great running backfield. Anthony Richardson is the top fantasy impact quarterback in this draft. He should be. I mean, we're going to go into a ranking show a few weeks from now, but I'm expecting him to be like a solid QB2 in his year just because he has that rushing upside. This is me, thinking that he's going to start, which I actually do believe he will. I think he'll start at least 12 games this year. Maybe they give Gardner Minshew like 4 games. Who knows? But I think Anthony Richardson is going to be starting in NFL games this year, and I think he'll be a solid fantasy quarterback. probably not QB1 range, but like QB2, mid-tier QB2 if you need a solid backup, want to take the chance on him. Great dynasty pick if you're playing dynasty. You know,
Oh yeah.
Anthony Richardson, if he pans out, could be an elite fantasy quarterback for the next 8-9 years, whatever it may be. So
Yeah. I have
Anthony Richardson there, yeah.
I have a quick some math just for some of the wide receivers to these rookie quarterbacks, particularly for Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud. We talked about it last episode how wide receivers that have a rookie quarterback or a first-year starter average wide receiver 31. And that's over the last 10 seasons. And over those 10 seasons, only 7 wide receivers finished top 20. And then only one ever in the last 10 years was top 10. So they are not very good. And that also includes like Jalen Hurts, Mahomes, Lamar Jackson in their first years, not the rookie seasons, their first year as a starter. So just to kind of paint the picture, look at those wide receivers that are on these teams with quarterbacks that have rookies or first year starters. You have the Panthers, you have the Texans, you have the Packers with Jordan Love, you have the Falcons with Desmond Ridder, you have the Commanders with Sam Howell, and then maybe Will Levis with the Titans. And just to give one analysis on what this looks like, if you're thinking of all the wide receivers, you're going to think Terry McLaurin, you're probably going to still take him. But if they're going to start with Sam Howell, here's what's happened with him when he's had rookie and non-rookie quarterbacks. When he had Carson Wentz and Taylor Heineke, he finished wide receiver 14. Neither of them were rookies that year. They had both started at some point. But the year before, it was Heineke's first year, and he finished wide receiver 25. And then 2020, it was Alex Smith, and he finished wide receiver 20. And then 2019, it was Case Keenum, and half of it was Dwayne Haskins, and he finished wide receiver 29. So I know Terry McLaurin is awesome, but just look at these wide receivers with these rookie QBs and these first-year starters and just stay clear. I know Adam Thielen sounds very intriguing. The Panthers also took Mingo.
Jonathan Mingo, yeah.
I love Mingo, but still, it's just something to keep in mind. So just wanted to share that for the trollers, especially for someone like Jared who is excited about some of these guys. Just the math is the math. Just pay attention. That's my spiel. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, let's jump to pick 8 here with arguably the biggest fantasy impact in the entire draft. And Bijan Robinson goes to the Atlanta Falcons at pick number 8. And oh man, if there has not been a better, if there could have not been a better landing spot for him here. I don't know why Arthur Smith is a stubborn idiot, but man, he runs the football. And moment of silence here for the Tyler Algier truthers like myself who were so ready for Algier to be the biggest value in fantasy. Moment of silence. Okay, thank you. There you go. That was enough. It was just like a half second.
Yeah.
It
doesn't matter. Bijan, let's go.
Yeah, Bijan's there. So I believe, and Wes, you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, the Atlanta Falcons had ran the ball at the third highest rate last season. Correct? Was that they ran the ball the third most amount of times?
I have the numbers, and I think the only way I described it as Noah was they are salivating for Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
The Falcons had the most rushing attempts last season. The
incredible.
Third most combined rushing yards of any team, and the third highest rush percentage in the red zone. Come on. Bijan is going to destroy the NFL.
Those numbers are great. I mean, I love hearing them. You could say they were 32nd in every single category in running, and I wouldn't even care. I wouldn't even care.
Right.
It's Bijan Robinson. It's Bijan Robinson
Honestly.
in a fantastic situation here. He is going to be a very, very, very good fantasy football running back for many years to come. Probably should be a first-round pick obviously in Dynasty and in redraft leagues this year. Like he is a absolute stud of a pick for fantasy. I love it. I love the landing spot. I love the impact. I think it's going to be freaking fantastic. Now we talked about it a little bit already, but at pick number 12, just 4 picks later, The Detroit Lions shock everybody. I thought for sure when they traded back, they were going to go Dalton Kincaid here at number 12 to replace TJ Hawkinson. Thought for sure it was going to be Dalton Kincaid here. They go with Jahmyr Gibbs, who at first to everybody, this is just a massive puzzling pick. It's what are they doing? Why would they pay David Montgomery all this money to come in while they still have DeAndre Swift and then draft Jahmyr Gibbs at the 12th overall pick? Like, what are we doing? What's going on here? And obviously we go and we see the very next day DeAndre Swift traded to the Eagles. So, we talked about it a little bit already, Wes, but just I had an inkling feeling, and I didn't know why, but maybe it was when I was watching Hard Knocks last offseason, or depending on what it was, I don't know. But I've said to you for a while, I don't think Dan Campbell and his coaching staff liked DeAndre Swift. I don't think they liked how he ran the football. I don't think they liked how he had, I don't know if it was an attitude thing. I don't know what it was, but for some reason they did not like DeAndre Swift. They didn't draft him. That was when Matt Patricia was there, and I just don't. I didn't fully understand why, but now we see. Obviously, they didn't, and they draft Jahmyr Gibbs, who's going to take over that. Probably what we hoped DeAndre Swift would be, and be a really solid, probably third down back, receiving back. Probably get like 15 touches a game or so 12 to 15. Really great PPR back, like that sort of thing. Like I really think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be a really awesome running back, even in his first year. He's the way too early predictions for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Like he's definitely in that conversation, that sort of thing. And so Jahmyr Gibbs to the Lions, baffling pick at first, but after some moves were made, I think it's I think this Lions backfield pretty much still looks how we think it'll look. I think David Montgomery will get some first and second down work and probably be the more north-south guy, get the goal line touches, that sort of thing, probably get more touchdowns, stuff like that. But Jahmyr Gibbs going to be a great fantasy back, I think, starting from his rookie year and moving forward. And so I'm excited about that for them. You and I aren't the biggest fans of Jahmyr Gibbs, but I mean, this might have been the perfect landing spot. This really might have been the perfect landing spot outside of what I was hoping for with the Chargers.
I think this is probably the perfect landing spot because we can already see what Gibbs can do because we saw what DeAndre Swift has done. And right. I think that's partly why they did. I think why you and I can see the fantasy value in this. I think the only thing that happened with this pick is I think your expectations of David Montgomery probably took a bit of a chip because I don't think you take a running back 12th overall and not give him the ball a ton. I think he's still going to be – I think he's going to vulture touchdowns from Jahmyr Gibbs enough times to be worth starting, especially during bye weeks for some of the other starters. But I think Gibbs is still going to be a top 15 running back. I mean, there's a good chance he's going to be top 10, honestly. When you look at the PPR value, I mean, he had 44 catches in his senior year. I think there's a real opportunity that the way Jared Goff passes it in that kind of short-range intermediate route tree, I think Gibbs can be a really good fantasy option for the Lions. I'm happy that it turned out great.
Yeah, I think it's a good landing spot for him there for sure, and makes him a little more attractive to me as well. Going to jump from pick 12 to pick 20 here because we went on a run here at pick 20, 21, 22, and 23. 4 straight wide receivers off the board. And, the first one off the board was Jackson Smith and Jigba. JSN, the guy I was really, really looking forward to.
Jigs.
Jiggy. JS.
Jiggy. Getting jiggy with it.
Getting
Jigba with it. No.
Yeah, there you go. That's good. I mean, I was really excited about JSN coming into the season. Really, I think he's the best of these prospects. I don't love the landing spot, especially for redraft in his first year. I struggle to see a direct line and a path to fantasy production being the third wide receiver in that run-heavy offense in Seattle. I think it depends on maybe maybe he'll be impressive enough to jump Tyler Lockett in the depth chart. I kind of doubt it. But I think he'll see a lot of work out of the slot. But if we just look back at history, we were excited about a handful of these wide receiver threes playing in Seattle. Dwayne Eskridge we were excited about. Marquise Goodwin had some value here and there, like that sort of stuff. But We haven't seen consistent fantasy value out of a third wide receiver in Seattle in a while. Maybe I don't know if I've ever seen one like that. And so I'm not sure year one how much of an impact JSN will make. I don't know. That's just what I'm. Wes, are you feeling the same way, sort of?
I do feel the same way because it does not feel like that the Seahawks have any interest in trading or shopping Tyler Lockett because he's obviously the older between him and DK Metcalf, and the problem is Tyler Lockett is consistently great, and he
Yeah.
proves against statistics and numbers that I try to give on why you should not take these players or avoid these players after a certain point. And Tyler Lockett says, "Yeah, never mind. I'm going to be awesome. I'm going to finish top 11." And it does feel like that Jiggs is just not going to end up as a relevant fantasy option this year. So unless one of those players, either Lockett or DK, ends up getting hurt, which I don't want because I think they're also really great. I don't want anybody to get hurt, not because they're great. That's just not a good thing to wish. Actually, speaking of which, Jiggs has had a hamstring injury from 2022. So there's also something there as well. I think he was one of the most talented, if not the most talented wide receiver from the draft, and I just feel like that he's got too many cooks in the wide receiver kitchen.
Too many cooks in the kitchen. Yeah, we're going to see what happens here. It turned me off a little bit from him, and I had to rearrange my fantasy wide receiver rankings as far as these guys goes.
Bummed.
But hashtag bummed. Very next pick, though, Quentin Johnston, wide receiver, goes to the Chargers. A little bit of a puzzling pick to me because it just felt like they added a third player of the exact same type to their offense. It was like, hey, Mike Williams is big and runs the deep route. Hey, Keenan Allen is big and runs like the medium and sometimes a deep route, sometimes a shorter route. Hey, Quentin Johnston, you're big. Let's add you. Like, it just felt kind of weird. And I was just like, he was probably one of my, of the top wide receiver prospects, he was probably my least favorite. He goes to Justin Herbert here, and, maybe, we haven't seen Mike Williams or Keenan Allen finish a full season in a decent amount of time. So maybe he steps in and has some solid games this year. But, I think he's definitely going to be a product of whenever one of those guys either gets cut or moves on. He's going to slot in there and will probably be a solid option whenever one of those two are gone. But again, just kind of feels like too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah, it's another unattractive landing spot, in my opinion, just because it doesn't feel like there's anything that separates him from Mike Williams or Keenan Allen. Although there are a lot of rumors and stirring conversations that Keenan Allen may end up leaving the Chargers at some point in this offseason. It's just kind of this gut feeling a lot of people have. There's nothing really that's been said or mentioned. People just kind of have that idea. So if that's true, okay, that does make Quentin Johnston a little more interesting. But again, it apparently feels like there's some factory where they make wide receivers and the Chargers keep buying the same product and making that the wide receiver. So and also, like you, I wasn't excited about Quentin Johnston because he just felt inconsistent in college and didn't seem to really, really get it. So,
not sure exactly what's
year.
going to happen there. Not this year. Yeah, it's probably not this year. I will say, I'll be shocked if Keenan Allen moves on this year, but I will then also be very shocked if he does not get cut or traded this upcoming offseason. So after the season, he has like
2024.
He has like a $30 million cap hit next offseason. So I'm pretty sure he's either going to just get cut or traded or whatever, but I think they might keep him one more year. Who knows? Moving on, very next pick there, Zay Flowers goes to the Baltimore Ravens. Another surprising one for me. I mean, I kind of had Quentin Johnston flipped there. I thought he was going to go to the Ravens. Zay Flowers is a very interesting pick. And I think he's, again, the only knock I had was just that he's small. But he is very slippery. He's very fast. He's very good. And he seems to be sought after by this team. Obviously, they drafted him, and I think they have plans for him. With this new look offense, with probably a little bit more passing in this offense, I actually think Flowers probably has some value this year. I don't think, I mean, the names of two-time again, 2-time ACL tear Odell Beckham and
God.
Rashad Bateman don't really worry me about, oh, he's going to lose out on touches because of those two guys. I think Zay Flowers still ends up getting, I don't think he catapults to, wide receiver 1, or it might be like a low-end wide receiver 2 this season, maybe in that flex territory, but I think he does have value. I think he'll have his games, and he reminds me a little bit of Marquise Brown, and I think similar draft capital as far as where they were picked at. Obviously, Marquise Brown had some impactful seasons with the Ravens, and it was good for fantasy, and so I think Flowers is going to be very, very interesting. I don't know if I'm going to buy in yet this year, but I think we could see him kind of flourish into this really, really solid fantasy wide receiver and solid receiver for the Ravens as well.
I think if we do buy in, I think it's halfway through the season, because I think that just seems to be a trend for rookie wide receivers as they start to find their rhythm in the NFL with their team and they start to do well towards the end of the season. But also, OBJ has some value and is attractive to the Ravens right now, and they're going to want to use him because they probably feel like that he was an incentive for Lamar to hash out that contract. Ultimately, what this does for me is Rashad Bateman is completely off my board. I'm just have to let go of him. I liked him last year. He was one of my guys. Both of us had him as a my guy last year. Excited to get him in like the 8th round every single mock draft and just hold on. And then we're thinking about a little bit like maybe there's some resurgence for him, and now it's out the window. Rashad Bateman is not going to be part of fantasy in any way because Zay Flowers is there.
Yeah. No, I agree. Definitely agree there. The fourth and final wide receiver on this wide receiver run here is actually my favorite. Is my favorite of the four, and it's Jordan Addison, who gets drafted by the Minnesota Vikings at pick 23.
You called it.
Goodness. Yeah, that was my landing spot for him. We talked about on the last episode how incredible it would be for Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison to pair up together. He's going to slot right into that wide receiver 2 spot. KJ Osborne had 90 targets last year. Those are going to be up for grabs. Adam Thielen is obviously off the team. Any of his targets, he had like a 16% snap target share last year. Those are going to be up for grabs. Obviously, they have TJ Hawkinson, so there's going to be a bit of a pecking order here. But Jordan Addison is going to be he's going to be oh man, no, I'm not going to say that.
No,
because I don't actually believe it. I'll say this: he's going to be the best of the fantasy wide receivers this year, of these rookie wide receivers that were picked. I think he is going to be.
That's not as outlandish as you would think it is.
I was about to say he's going to be offensive rookie of the year, and then I remembered Bijan Robinson existed, so I don't want to say that. Yeah, I don't want to say that. I realize that, and I don't want to say that. But he is going to be the best of these four in his rookie year. He immediately jumped to the top of my wide receiver rankings for these rookies. I was very, very happy to take him in our dynasty startup draft that we had this last weekend, Wes. He is going to be a guy on my dynasty team that is going to flourish for a long time. I think he'll get at least 100 targets in his rookie year. I mean, I am ready for him to just the Minnesota Vikings throw the ball at the 3rd highest rate in the NFL. They have completely switched with this Kevin O'Connell offense, and he is going to flourish. And I'm going to say I think we're going to get at least 5 touchdowns out of him this season. I think he'll go over 1,000 yards. I think they're as dangerous of a duo as anybody in the NFL.
Noah, you want me to mark your words?
Oh man, we haven't had one of those yet. Yeah, mark my words. Yeah. Jordan Addison, 1,000-yard receiver in his rookie year, at least 5 touchdowns. I'm gonna mark my words on that. He is that is a fantastic landing spot for him, and I love it. I'm gonna be drafted. I obviously said I just drafted him in Dynasty this past weekend. I will be drafting him in redraft. Yeah, he's going to be that dude, and I'm excited about it. So Jordan Addison of Minnesota Vikings was a home run fantasy pick for me in the first round.
There's nothing else for me to add. I think it's fantastic. And I think ultimately all it does is probably similar to Rashad Bateman, just devalues. That's the word I'm looking for. Devalues.
Makes bad.
Makes not gooder KJ Osborne. And but here's the beauty. Justin Jefferson, T.J. Hawkins have nothing to worry about. There are fantasy
Oh
owners that
yeah,
have them. There's literally no concern. It's just now there's someone else, which
yeah. We just need to
that's
go
pretty
back and be
nice.
thinking about, when we saw best of the best Adam Thielen, what that was, and I'm seeing massive replication of that, and I'm envisioning that for Jordan Addison. I think that's what's going to end up happening, and I really am believing he is going to be just an absolute stud in fantasy as far as his rookie class goes. All right, and with his last pick of the first round, Wes, I'm actually going to pitch to you because this is a guy you're really excited about, somebody that you have made some claims about that this guy could be someone really special. Talk to me about Dalton Kincaid, tight end out of Utah, getting drafted to the Buffalo Bills. Tell me about it. What are you excited about?
Well, first and foremost, I'm absolutely furious as a Dolphins fan that he ended up in Buffalo.
Yeah,
I hate that. That sucks. That sucks.
not great.
As a fantasy fan, dude, this was what I was looking at with Jordan Addison in our last episode. Is I just trying to Flowers, Addison, somebody. I just wanted another target for Josh Allen, just some kind of receiving option to help out. And when I was looking at Dalton Kincaid, I just gave him this comp of not a tight end, but of Cooper Kupp because I felt he
Yeah,
was so good with his body control and the way that he worked underneath and in the hook zone and on the pylon and in screen routes. He is a wide receiver. And you look at some of these other tight ends that have that blocking ability. He can block. Don't forget that, but I think Dalton Kincaid can probably be started at the beginning of the season in fantasy.
wow.
Let's just admit last year was an absolute graveyard for tight ends. Like you have nothing to risk. It's
Yeah,
not like is it Travis Kelce or is it your uncle? Like it doesn't
yeah,
matter.
yeah.
Dalton Kincaid, I think, is going to be phenomenal in Buffalo. And again, as a Dolphins fan,
Phenomenal.
furious about it. Dude, I'm so mad my earbuds are falling out. But yeah, Kincaid is going to be a top option in the tight end for fantasy this year, I think. Honestly, this year.
Yeah, I think I'll agree with you. I think there are tight end is such a graveyard. Tight end is such a graveyard that it is like, yeah, take the shot because it's probably going to pay off. I mean, he lines up more in the slot than even he does like in line with the tight ends, like that sort of thing. So I think I don't think like Dawson Knox just disappears, but Dalton Kincaid is still going to have that value, and I think we'll see both of them on the field at the same time. Like, don't let the idea of
Yeah.
Dawson Knox be like, no, well, Kincaid's just a rookie, and Knox has the rapport and all this stuff. Yeah, Knox also had like, or Kincaid also had like 16 catches in one game last season in college against USC. So,
Yeah.
when has Dawson Knox done that? So I think
And
Kincaid is going to be just an absolute steal of a pick when we look back at it, 5-10 years from
right.
now for the Bills.
And the last point, because he's the last one of the fantasy options for this first round, is that the Bills traded up to get Kincaid.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
forget about it.
Yeah, probably pissed off some Cowboys fans in the process because they jumped the Cowboys just to get him. And I'm fairly certain if Dalton Kincaid was there when the Cowboys were picking with the very next pick, that he would be a Dallas Cowboy. So probably pissed off some Cowboys fans, but
Yep.
we'll see what people have to say about that. Anyways, that's it for the round one, guys. The top draft capital. Let's bounce around a little bit though and talk about some of these second and third rounders, because just because these guys weren't first round picks doesn't mean they don't have fantasy value. I will tell you though who doesn't have fantasy value. And I don't understand. I have never been more angry in my life about the NFL draft. I truly believe this is the most angry I've been. The Miami Dolphins are picking at pick 51. And my dream player, Zach Charbonnet, running back out of UCLA, is on the board. And we draft a corner after we traded for Jalen Ramsey this offseason. And just so many questions running through my head of why would the Dolphins not take Zach Charbonnet? And so then I look at who's picking again, and I go, no way Charbonnet falls to the third round. And I'm looking and I'm going, okay, Maybe the Bears take him. That might be a decent spot. Maybe the Chargers take him. That might be a decent spot. Nope. The Seahawks go ahead and for the second year in a row draft a very talented running back in the second round, and they add Zach Charbonnet to the backfield when Kenneth Walker III is already there. And you know why? Because Pete Carroll doesn't have a brain. He doesn't have a brain. He just sits there chewing his gum, and he just with his hands on his knees, leaning forward, and I want to get another running back and not an impact player that would help my team more. Oh no, I'm just gonna draft arguably one of the best running backs in this draft and go ahead and add him to a backfield of just already a dominant 3-down back that we have here. I'm just gonna, hey, you got any more Hubba Bubba? Give me some big league chew. I need more gum. Shut up, Pete Carroll. You're an idiot, and I don't know why you and John Schneider continue to make stupid picks. You make stupid picks in the NFL draft. I don't understand why Zach Charbonnet is a Seattle Seahawks. People are like, well, you need a two-headed backfield. Do you? I don't think so. Oh, I'm so upset about Zach Charbonnet going to the Seahawks. It is so infuriating. I think I was mad for the rest of the night. Truly, I think I was mad for the rest of the night. Like I could not get past how angry I was about this pick. I need a drink, Wes.
Ditto. Okay, so
yeah,
there's nothing more for me to say other than it was just text after text of what the hell? Why?
Yeah.
Why?
What are we doing?
You know, I have it somewhere in my tabs. Do you know how high Kenneth Walker III was for me in fantasy football this season? Going into the year,
top 6,
fourth. Before, after the Super Bowl, I thought he was going to be the 4th best running back in fantasy. And a lot of
people felt that way.
Yes, and it was like everybody was expecting him to have that Jonathan Taylor type second-year breakout where you see a lot of it rookie year. And you're like, okay, hey, that might be a guy, and then he's a guy. And now they said, you're a guy, I'm going to introduce you to guy 2, and now there's too many guys in Seattle, and I don't want either of them.
Yeah, I'm so frustrated.
Do you take Charbonnet? I mean, if you're forced at gunpoint, Noah, which running back do you take in a redraft? Zach Charbonnet or the gun? Or Kenneth Walker?
Here's the thing. I still take Kenneth Walker III. And here's why I say that. Is it because they're a very run-heavy team. And I think if we look back at history, whenever Chris Carson was the guy, like Travis Homer and Rashad Penny weren't really taking touches away from him as far as like still being the lead runner. He probably didn't get as much work as we wanted him to, but that still wasn't the case. Last year, Rashad Penny is the guy for the first 5 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever, and he is the guy. And Kenneth Walker's there, and he can play, and he's still getting some touches, but Rashad Penny is the guy. I think, and here's what I'm hoping, and it's sad because if this is the case, it is a waste of Zach Charbonnet's potential. My hope is that they're just going, okay, it's not a crime to have 2 very good running backs on a team, even though much of the fantasy community thinks it is and believes that it is a crime.
Yes.
But my hope and belief is that they are going to just listen. Kenneth Walker's still going to be the guy. Zach Charbonnet will still get some work. He'll probably get some receiving work. KW3 is still the guy, though. And that's what I'm hoping for. So I still lean KW3 if I'm going to pick one of these guys, but I don't want to be the one making the guess. I don't want to have to decide. I am just steering clear now, which is a bummer because I was in love with Kenneth Walker III last year. He was one of my favorite players. He, he was such a big impact for me, for my fantasy team down the stretch. Really got me potentially. It was a big boost, but one of the maybe the best in-season pickup of a waiver wire of all of last year. Maybe it just it it's it's disappointing to see this situation and for us to go, okay, we have to figure out how this is going to pan out. And unfortunately, I'm just not willing to make the guess. I'm not willing to bet on one or the other. So I bow out of the race. I opt for neither one.
This is like all 5 stages of grief that just happened on Fourth and Troll.
Yeah, I feel like this is
starting with anger,
this is a healthy conversation,
denial. Yeah, kind of worked in a little bit on bargaining. Maybe which one do you choose, and then I forget what one of them is, but I think we closed on acceptance and we move on.
And now I think the last thing you do, is laugh. So let's just laugh about Will Levis falling in the second round. Because that was hilarious. I think you and I've said, I'm like, I don't know I don't know who's going to take the chance. I don't know what's going to happen here. I thought maybe it might be the Lions because Dan Campbell is just kind of grungy dude. And instead it was the other grungy head coach in the NFL, and it was Mike Vrabel. So there you go. So it's the other one who wants to bite kneecaps.
But the funny thing is,
I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen here. He might start. I don't know. I have no clue.
Yeah, I thought the Titans were going to take him in the first round. I thought that made sense.
That's what I heard. I thought they were trying. I heard they were trying to move up to take him like early because they thought the Texans might take him. And I heard they were trying to trade to 2 to get Will Levis. And I was like, guys, you can wait a while here. Like, you're good. Like, we can wait on this. So, I still feel exactly how I feel about Will Levis. I mean, listen, maybe he gets some good coaching and he ends up in a good situation, but I'm not really convinced that he's going to be much of a fan. I mean, he runs the ball more than Bryce Young and CJ Stroud do, so maybe that gives him a little more value in fantasy, but I'm just still not a huge believer, so I pass. Yeah. I pass on Will Levis. I'm not a huge fan. Wes, who do you in round 2? Who was the most intriguing? Maybe fantasy pick who could have an impact for round 2. There's a few guys here, but I want to get your opinion.
Yeah, I have a few guys as well. Some players that I really like, but I don't know if they're going to pan out this season. I think they are in a good spot. Like, my guy Josh Downs, I think is going to be next year's superstar. I don't know how things are going to work out this year, so I'm just prefacing with that because I love him so much. I fell in love with Jonathan Mingo as well. But again, he's got a rookie quarterback, and I think there's just going to need some more time to develop with the Panthers and get Bryce Young ready. Quick shout out to the Panthers social media team because when they drafted Jonathan Mingo, they put relationship status taken. It's complicated. Singo and ready to mingo. And I love that.
Oh, and I'm that's all great. For it. That's awesome.
My favorite, I think, of all of these round 2, round 3s is Michael Mayer to the Raiders.
Yeah.
I think
that's a great pick for them.
Pretty darn great. And the way that I was looking at Michael Mayer and how he plays, he's very much like Rob Gronkowski. He's very much like George Kittle, too. That dude can block. And I think that is he has the perfect quarterback for that because Garoppolo had George Kittle. And you already have a superstar wide receiver with Devontae Adams there. And something else that I was talking about with Addison and Flowers and one of these other guys is I think the Raiders may want to get a wide receiver or some kind of receiving option. And so both the teams that wanted to get a second receiver option got them. They got them in the tight end position. So Buffalo got Kincaid, and the Raiders, I think, hit the jackpot with not Hunter. I looked at someone else's name right now. Michael Mayer.
Hunter Renfrow, their current slot receiver.
Hunter Renfrow.
There you go.
Yeah, honestly, I think Renfrow kind of takes a dip with this one. But I think, again, Michael Mayer, like Kincaid, I think both these top 2 tight end prospects are worth starting from the get-go. I think they're both going to be phenomenal, and I think they're in the right situation. I'm very, very happy for Michael Mayer, and I look forward to drafting Mayer in fantasy this year.
Yeah, I actually really it took me, I was surprised that he was the third tight end taken because the Lions took Sam
Yeah,
Laporta out of Iowa just before the Raiders took Michael Mayer, which was a surprise. And then I thought about it and I went, I think Laporta is more of a receiving tight end than Mayer is. He has a little bit more athleticism in that regard to be a receiving option, and so then it didn't surprise me. Laporta is still a highly regarded tight end in this class, so I mean there are a lot of really good tight ends here in this class. I like the Laporta pick, and then when Mayer got picked, I went, okay, that's good. They got their Waller replacement, and then I thought about it more, and I went, yeah, no, that's actually a really, really good fit for him, and just NFL wise in general.
yeah.
You know, Austin Hooper's there right now, so maybe Mayer plays the tight end 2 spot for the first part of the season. But I think Michael Mayer is a fantastic pick going forward, and especially with I was doing my rankings for the season before the draft, and I got to Austin Hooper, who's obviously I just said is there, and I went, oh, you know what? I think he could be a sneaky value because Jimmy Garoppolo loves throwing to the tight end. Jimmy
Mm-hmm.
Garoppolo loves himself a good tight end route over the middle there. He loves checking to that option there and going to that read. And then I went. So then when Michael Mayer got drafted by the Raiders, I went, okay, he's got to go up in my rankings a little bit here.
Yeah.
So I really like those 2 tight end picks. I'll tell you what, I really thought it was interesting how
Tell me.
obviously in the first round the Packers went with Lucas Van Ness, the defensive end out of Iowa, to add to some pass rush there. But then in the second round they went Luke Musgrave, another top tight end prospect. They also took Jaden Reed, wide receiver out of Michigan State, getting some options there for Jordan Love. And then in the third round, they took Tucker Kraft, another top tight end prospect. And I thought it was really interesting that they doubled tight end in the draft and got Jaden Reed.
Yeah.
It just showed me they're committed to just surrounding Jordan Love with some really solid options. I thought those were 2 really interesting picks. As far as the second round goes, I think my favorite pick as far as fantasy options was wide receiver from Oklahoma, Marvin Mims, to the Denver Broncos. I really, really like that pick. Sean Payton traded up into the second round to get him. They chose to trade up to that last pick in the second round to be able to get Mims. I really like that pick. I think it's sneaky. I think we may see potentially Cortland Sutton on the move. Maybe obviously they picked up Jerry Jeudy's 5th-year option, but I think this shows us that Sutton may be out the door. They may be looking to trade him post-draft. I think Mims was a sneaky pick. He's super athletic in Oklahoma. I think he is one of the better wide receiver options, even better than some of the guys taken before him in this draft. And so I really like that. I think that's a very good fit for him. And I think it shows us some interesting thoughts to have, given that Sean Payton did trade up in this draft to go get him. He gave something up to make sure that he could get his guy. And so I really like that pick. I think that's interesting.
He was another one I was going to mention too. I do think it's either Sutton or Tim Patrick that ends up leaving Denver because both of them have missed entire seasons with an injury. So with the Broncos just recently picking up Judy's 5th-year option, they're going to keep him, and obviously he has more potential than either two. But I think Mims makes some spectacular catches, and I think of him as like a boom or bust kind of player, which I'm all right with a rookie. But Mims might be off the radar for a lot of people when they are drafting or looking at the waiver wire. And I think, Jared, listen to Noah.
Hey, Jared,
he's on to something here.
It might be a good pick. Yeah. I mean, I know that we're talking about mostly redraft here. Marvin Mims was a pick I was thrilled to make in our dynasty draft we had this weekend, Wes. I think if not this year, next year, maybe even the year after that, it could take a little bit of time.
I already want to trade for him from you.
Flourish. He could just flourish with this offense here. I really like Marvin Mims. And then one last guy for me that I'll just talk about here. just because it was really exciting to see this guy go to a spot where I really think that he can end up doing well. I loved seeing Hendon Hooker go to the Lions, man. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was a
Yeah.
great pick. I thought maybe there was potential he was going to get taken. I thought maybe the Seahawks were going to grab him right after the Dolphins picked Cam Smith, but nope, they went with Zach Charbonnet. So obviously a little bit of shifting there. But Hendon Hooker to the Lions, obviously we're talking a little bit of dynasty here, guys. Just some nuggets here and there. I took Hendon Hooker in our dynasty draft. I think Jared Goff has 2 years left on his contract. Hendon Hooker's a little bit older. People might not love that piece about him, but I think in the next 2 years, Hendon Hooker can come out and be pretty impactful for fantasy football, and he'll have a great supporting cast to do that with Jahmyr Gibbs, and David Montgomery will be on maybe the second or third year on his contract, that sort of stuff. So I was excited about Hendon Hooker going to the Lions. Really like that he didn't fall out of the third round. I'm really happy he was a day 2 pick, because it shows that there is a plan for this guy somewhere. And there's hope and an idea. It wasn't like it was just like he'll be a backup for somebody, or he might compete for a roster spot. It was like, no, there's an idea and there's a plan for him. So I was excited to see the Lions take him. Besides that, man, that's my thoughts on this second and third round. Do you have anything to add, Wes? Anything you want to contribute to? Let's hear something. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to add one more here. I'll just quickly, I want to agree with you on the Hendon Hooker landing spot. I think it's a good opportunity for him to learn under someone. Let's not forget, he's going to learn under a quarterback that has been to Super Bowl, and that is special. So I think Hooker is going to be great. Again, this is not for this season, but it's going to be next season. I'm very happy for him. Also, you got a couple right, actually, in some landing spots. I landed one that I'm happy about. Jalen Hyatt ended up in New York for the Giants. Yeah. I think what's really great about the situation is that there is no clear number one wide receiver, which is great because I think he does need to kind of grow and mature and develop a little bit in some of the short routes and the intermediate passing game. But I'm going to throw out one little player that I think is very sneaky as well, a deep cut, if you will. I'm gonna keep my eye on Tank Bigsby to Jacksonville.
Oh, okay.
Because, look, Travis Etienne is still going to be the top dog, but they ran both running backs when they started the season with Etienne and with James Robinson. And James Robinson had like 159 points after the second game. Like, he was pretty darn good. Noah, I'm not trying to embarrass you because you still did well in fantasy, but you traded McCaffrey for James Robinson on week 3. That's
not straight up.
Yes, not straight up. But the point being, that's how good Robinson was at that point. And obviously, they traded Robinson away. But I just feel like if Doug Peterson is going to draft, or the GM, if they're going to draft another running back who is, as of now, on the depth chart for Jacksonville, the number 2 running back, I feel like they still have an interest in having some kind of two-headed backfield. And Etienne did play all of last season, but we do know Etienne has missed some games. And I think he is probably, for now, along with Tajay Spears for Tennessee, because Derrick Henry may end up being traded, Tank Bigsby is probably my top handcuff option for this season as far as running back goes. Just throwing him out there to close it out.
I was a little sad to see Bigsby go to the Jaguars because he was a prospect I was really excited about, and I was, big guy, north-south runner at Auburn, really good at catching the football. He can do a lot after the catch. I was really excited about it, and when I saw the Jaguars landing spot, I was like, man, I was really hoping we'd see maybe the Rams or I don't know. Who knows? I don't know, the Minnesota or something like that. I don't know. Dalvin Cook might be out the door, whatever. That sort of thing. Maybe the Chargers. I was a little bummed to see him go to the Jaguars, but you make a very good point, Wes. I traded Christian McCaffrey for James Robinson because of that's how good a second running back in a potential timeshare was in this Jacksonville backfield. Who knows if they return to that? But again, you said, there could be some injury fill and stuff like that for Tank Bigsby with Travis Etienne. Very interesting there. Wes, do you have anyone outside the second and third round? One guy who went late. Anybody on your mind that you think about? I know I do. I want to see if you do.
I appreciate you giving me the floor. I didn't look that far because I didn't expect any of them to be fantasy relevant. So please entice me with this player.
You ready?
Maybe.
Xavier Hutchinson, wide receiver to the Texans. So I'm going to say, book it on that one because I promise you, I've never seen a more open opportunity for like a day 3 wide receiver that's been taken. And let me tell you something. Xavier Hutchinson is no chump, okay? I'm just going to pull up his college stats here real quick because I was looking at this and going, okay, what am I missing about Xavier Hutchinson? Why is he not high on people's boards? I don't know that I fully understand. I don't know that I get it. He's 6'3", 210 pounds. He kind of reminds me of Michael Pittman Jr. In his senior year at Iowa State, he played 3 years. In his senior year, he had 107 catches, 1,100, nearly 1,200 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And man, he is just a guy that I was really watching. Where is he going to land? Where is he going to go? And the Texans was a great spot. And I think that's going to be a guy that is going to be potentially a fantasy impact even this season. Look at who the receivers are. It's a wide open competition here for wide receiver 1 for the Houston Texans. And and I like Xavier Hutchinson. I think he's going to be there's my deep cut there. There's my deep cut. We're going to go ahead and close it on Xavier Hutchinson. How do you feel?
That's really fun. I really like that. And I think Tank Dell the Texans took Tank Dell as well. I'm trying to see which pick they took him because
they did actually.
It was worth
they
noting.
Took him with
69th
the 69th
overall
pick. Yeah, the 3rd round.
Round 3. And Tank Dell is essentially like the purest form of like a red zone threat. Like all he does is in the red zone, he's the target, he's the guy. So I think that's a good opportunity, but they're going to need somebody else. And again, no offense to Nico Collins, no offense to Robert Woods, Bobby Trees, but they need somebody. They need somebody. And as we learned in episode 1 of season 2, Dalton Schultz's career dies in Houston. So I'll keep my eye on him. That's fun.
Yeah. 100%. I'm excited about Xavier Hutchinson for sure. Listen, that's going to be it for today's episode. Let us know down below in the comments which rookies landed in the best spots and the worst spots. Let us know what you think about our analysis. Is Bijan Robinson just going to absolutely take over the league? What do you think about that? Did the Lions make the right pick, trading away DeAndre Swift and taking Jahmyr Gibbs 12th overall? Lots of stuff to talk about. Let us know what you think in the comments. Be sure to make our friend Teddy the Troll smile by leaving us a like and a follow and a comment on social media and on YouTube. Check us out everywhere at 4th and Troll and on Facebook at 4th and Troll Fantasy. Our socials are down below. You can catch us at any of those. We will see you in the next episode. My name is Noah Selby.
And I'm Wes Selby.
And this has been 4th and Troll Fantasy.